Hey, welcome back to Game Devs Play Games. You can watch games, practice game design, and you can practice Battleship Brigade.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't really imagine the capital from what
Oh yeah, we're back to the capital.
Yeah, last we left off, we wrapped up things with the evil at home. That's basically what it was.
Evil meat.
It was. Am I wrong?
So they said, like, they're like, oh, it seems to be only animals, but I'm pretty sure, like, other food can get corrupted, too.
Can people get corrupted?
Yes.
Ew.
Especially since you made it up on the spot.
What? I've eaten a few humies in my life.
Humies.
Is that what orcs call them?
Humeat.
Humeat.
You're getting all mushy.
Yeah, well, you can pay me back with a rest.
I don't remember who Simon is. Is he the guy from home?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's our friend.
we
Not
can't
really
get
love
rid of.
interest.
He's
Like,
just like
kinda,
the
but,
guy
like,
that's
not really.
around everywhere when we're home.
Yeah.
He's always trying to talk us out of moving away from home. He's like, nah, you shouldn't leave. You're like, what? Why are you trying to stifle me, man?
Life on a boring farm's not that bad. Yeah, but it is.
It is for me. I want to play the game.
Young lad, and you brought a friend. How nice.
Still thinks I'm a guy.
Yeah, but he's so happy. No, at least he acknowledges it.
I'm holding my breath for the day he realizes.
Much less thinks we're an orc lad.
So he's not only colorblind, but just blind.
Or he's like just very casually sexist and racist. Speciesist?
Technically racist, because orcs and humans in most fantasy settings can still breed with each other.
Yeah, about that. Listen, like, I think it's like humans can actually, technically, where we're at, we could procreate with the species before us, but not the one before that. Like, there's like actually, there's a thing about it.
But we as humans can't procreate with, what's our closest relative? It's not chimpanzee, that's one step further removed.
Is it the great ape?
No, well, great ape is what came before. I mean, like, in current time.
Yeah, but like, I
But
mean, like, those are like really far separated. And like, we're talking about like, Homo sapiens cannot. There's one like race before Homo sapiens that like technically we could theoretically procreate with, but not the one before that.
That makes sense.
How does that make less sense than not being able to like mate with monkeys?
Because mutations are weird.
You're a weird guy, Chris.
It's just evolution, man.
Rash, Kieran, and I have been
All I'm saying is, I don't think half orcs should be a
trying
thing.
to find the cause.
Well, it depends, right? It's like saying, like, aesthetically, it's just a more dramatic difference, but like, it could be no difference than like a white person making a baby with like a Chinese person, right? Like,
I suppose if the only difference is green skin, yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like orcs can breathe fire in this, and
Okay, I mean, like, things like that.
I think there's some pretty big differences. Also, this is really funny. She was like, "Hey, do you want to help me? We gotta save the world." And he's like, "Nah." You're not even gonna
All
think about
right.
it.
Mina, you have always had these grand ambitions. Me, though, I just want to grow the family business and go back to a peaceful life of talking to weed stalks.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of us want a simple life.
I guess
Doesn't mean we get it if everyone dies.
I know. Just make sure you're back before dinner. I want to try that Crescent place.
That's like whenever any game, like in any game when you were like about to save the world, you're like, "Hey, do you want to help out?" And be like, "No, I've got to make sure I'm home with my family." Or like, "No, I've got to make sure I'm home to save the town." What are you going to save the town from? If the moon crushes the planet, you realize that it doesn't matter where you're at.
Right? Well, I mean,
He's
like,
on vacation.
it's interesting because it's like, say, your traditional RPG, right? You're the hero and you go, like, journey across the land to go save the world from some ungodly evil. But it's not like the townsfolk help you. They don't come with you. They may even know
They give you their support.
Yeah, like they may even know that bad shit's happening, but they don't do anything about it. It's like, that's what your friend was just there. He's like, yeah, I know shit's fucked, but I'm not.
Like,
Listen, I'm not gonna
I like
do
to
it.
eat stuff and do nothing else.
That's really the defining feature of a hero, is that they just like own up to the responsibility of trying to save the planet.
So are all heroes like just managers then?
I mean, kind of.
Like, what's the difference between a good manager and a bad manager? Is like the fact that they'll actually just do their job.
Yeah, pretty much.
The bandits, the antidote, the dark realm. It sounds terrifying.
We made it all up.
It's as bad as it sounds.
Thanks, Thrash.
The positive side is that we've garnered new insights on this mutation.
I mean, not to sugarcoat things, but shit is really bad.
Like, we're all gonna die.
I think we could be on the verge of a full-scale blight.
How did you figure it out?
It's not quite what a blight is, but I guess in this world that actually, like, makes sense that they would call it a blight.
They use the term blight a lot, actually.
A blight is just a, and I didn't even know this. I thought a blight was something totally different for most of my life, but a blight is, like an epidemic of disease, ruining crops.
Yeah, I was like, isn't it specific for like plants?
It's crops, I think probably livestock too, but the idea is it can cause famine. Because you don't have anything to eat. So in this case, like, this is kind of a weird mystical disease, but yeah, it kind of is acting like a blight. It's weird. It's a fantasy blight,
I think we should report
which you don't really see happening in most fantasy settings.
Okay, let's pretend that we have like a really fat person, like supernaturally like big.
Okay.
And this person just eats everything. And I mean like literally like everything.
Yeah.
And then people start starving because this supernatural human of a thing just eating everything.
Is that a blight?
Is it a blight then?
I don't think so. I think a blight has to specifically be disease. Yeah, I'll look it up.
Do it.
I don't think it would be, though. I think that would just be an asshole.
It's our last course of action.
Like, why you gotta eat everyone's food, man?
Like, you clearly don't need it. Like you seem to be like just eating all the time and you're never getting full. So at this point I'm wondering if like you really need to eat or if you're just doing it just because you're doing it.
Okay, so I wasn't totally right.
Oh?
A blight is a plant disease, especially one that's caused by fungi, such as mildews, rusts, and smuts. Fungi, though, I didn't realize that was a defining feature of most. I mean, obviously it doesn't have to be fungi-based, but yeah, I don't know. But still disease, and it did leave out livestock, so it is plants. Which
And specifically,
makes sense.
they're trying to make the point that it's not affecting plants.
Yes, correct. I mean, it's been tainting the meat that we've been harvesting off of animals. What was with the, like...
He just kept calling us an orc lad, and then we did like,
the, like, disappointed...
hello,
but,
regular
like-
guy.
I am normal.
Yeah. I'm just kind of scared to eat now. I heard the people are getting sick left and right. I guess it's just berries for me.
Interesting.
No sign of Louie and Lewis. I hope they're not sick.
How long is the tournament delay going to be? I was only planning on staying in the capital for a month. That's a long time.
This is kind of a long time.
Veteran battle chefs marched through town the other day. Why is she
Gosh.
so sparkly?
Because she's pretty, obviously.
Because she's Aries. Aerith.
She does kind
Whatever.
of look like Aerith. From the faint memory I have of that game.
God damn it.
I never played it.
You're the worst.
I only played that with people, and they kind of changed the experience for me.
Oh, that's upsetting. I mean,
I mean, there are better Final Fantasies anyway.
there are better Final Fantasies. I guess if like you like to be railroaded in one direction and then have choices like near the end. The game's weird because it's like it was definitely railroaded until like the part where you could start playing mini games and shit. And then you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's a lot more to the world than I thought there was. I can go out and do things. But at that point was also the point and when Aerith dies. So it's like it happened like, it's like she dies and you're like, no, and that's where Nick makes a joke. No, Aerith died. Let's go snowboarding. It was just like bad timing.
Oh man, I think that's why I like the micro narrative more than the narrative as a whole in that game. Because like, individual moments are pretty interesting, but the narrative as a whole is kind of patchy.
Yeah, that's a good point. They actually take that controller. They did focus a lot on the narrative in between the characters in that. As I like clearly like just make you pick it up.
Well, you were mid-sentence. I was like, well, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna
my
be
leg
me
really itched. I hope that didn't look awkward on the screen.
I'm sure it looked plenty weird.
So, not. Wait, is he speaking or are we? Okay.
No, they're speaking.
Are they? Okay. Yes, they are. Common, you're awesome.
Good afternoon, chefs. We've learned that a rapidly spreading virus is mutating monsters.
Virus.
There's been a stark increase in aggression in the population and dangerous ingredients. However, thanks to volunteers such as yourselves, these monsters have not been able to cause severe damage in our cities and towns. The same can't be said for the ingredients that make their way into people's homes. From what we know, the ingredients are safe as long as we take the proper precautions in preparing them. From that hypothesis apart, we're fully staffed here in the Coliseum, so our unproven squads will be using the practice kitchen area. That's all for now. Kraus will lead you to your stations where you'll receive further instruction.
Okay, so it's pretty much what we expected it to be. All the chefs are just gonna cut out the bad parts.
Looks like even Shiv got a call back.
You have to be kidding me.
Oh, hey, Shiv.
Save it. Don't think you're important enough to hold a grudge about. I'm here to get back in and take everyone down. Every last.
Not gonna let her finish that word.
These new poisonous and moldy ingredients are perfection.
I really wish she said Hugh, Hugh, Hugh.
I know, right? I'm like, I feel like that laugh, when you hear that laugh out loud, it's not really spelled that way. Like, that's what it should sound like, but no one laughs like that.
I also love that Mina just like heard her and was like, "You're not serious about using poison, are you?" Look how many people are in between them. Like, clearly, if she can hear, so can they.
Also, who's this big guy?
He like showed up once before.
It's just like, yes, I'm listening to your conversation.
Babies, listen up. The sorry lot of you make up every person that was kicked out of the tournament for one reason or another. The committee's decided to let you back in, but you'll have to earn it.
I'm ready! This time nothing's going to stop me! Don't worry, committee, I won't let you down!
Alright, well that's why he's in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't contain myself.
We'll run this mission just like a tournament match. I'll pair you one.
Yes.
Every dish must contain at least one ingredient from a mutated monster. That's our theme for the day.
So, that character, his name is Wart. We've never talked to him before. But he shows up there. We're going to talk to him after this part too.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, everybody's talking to him as if he's been there since day one. Never showed up before. And the problem is, I like the character. Like, at first he annoyed me, but then, like, he started to, he started to warm up to me.
It just kind of feels like he should have been there the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sad he isn't.
You know, I think that warrants discussion, actually, because that begs the question of why did he only show up halfway through the game?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe the reasoning is, it could be a slew of different reasons, right? But the justification in terms of the narrative is that there were just so many competitors that we never encountered him. because, you know, you're not going to see everyone in the competition right away. The other justification is from a writing standpoint, this is an appropriate time to bring in new characters, and the narrative is basically saying everyone has a chance to get back into the competition through doing this stuff. So now it's our opportunity to meet new people that are trying to get back in who got booted.
We talked about this before, like Top Chef, like me and Rachel watched the first couple seasons and we were all like, we're okay with it. Like, I think it was the third season or something like that. One of the characters got kicked out and they had one opportunity to come back. Like, they had like a challenge where they brought in like the last 4 or 5 or whatever people that had been kicked out. And they were given like one challenge where they could like replace one of the people still active. And one person came back and they won. They came back into the competition and then beat everybody and won first place.
But that's a great story.
Yeah, that was why we were like, that's our favorite. This has been the best.
It's things like that that always has me kind of questioning, like, how much of this is kind of fabricated as to create a better narrative and how much of it is legitimate. And like, obviously that changes from show to show. But as like an organic series of events, like just facilitated by the rules that whoever designed those shows set up, like that's great storytelling that just kind of naturally happens. Because that has a whole arc to it. It makes me wonder how much of stuff like that Battle Chef Brigade was influenced by. Like,
I feel like they probably went through all of it.
Right, like as a designer, I would have probably just watched every cooking show I could get my hands on, for better or worse, just to kind of see what does and doesn't work in the narratives of those shows, even if they're not scripted.
We're done on time.
We are over time, so
Good,
we'll call this here before we jump into this challenge. Is this just going to be a competition?
It's like not a. It's not considered one of the wins we have to make.
But it's the same structure.
It's the same structure, and we were gonna make 3 dishes, but one guy has the poops, so we only have to make 2 dishes now. The big guy that we were like just met. We're like, hey man, who are you? And he's like, I gotta go.
Oh, so he's one of the judges.
He was, until like with the dialogue, he was like, I think I caught a bug. Clearly, he was poisoned by the bad food.
Weird. They made it sound like he was a competitor.
No, that would be terrifying. How would he even fit anywhere? No, we have to make food for Thorn.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
And Belchior.
Oh, right.
Anyway, we're done.
Question of the day. We could talk about our little NPC buddy and his like lack of willingness to help save the world. Or we could talk about just like...
Let's just... wait. What do you think they've done in the narrative to facilitate good character design?
That's fair. I like that.
Just up until now.
Yeah, actually, I think there are a handful of answers for that, all to the game's compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next episode.
Boom.
Bye.